Sir Alfred Joseph Hitchcock, KBE, was an English film director and producer, often nicknamed the Master of Suspense. He pioneered many elements of the suspense and psychological thriller genres. He had a successful career in British cinema with both silent films and early talkies, and became renowned as England's best director. Hitchcock moved to Hollywood in 1939 and became a U.S. citizen in 1955. Over a career spanning half a century, Hitchcock fashioned for himself a recognizable directorial style. His stylistic trademarks include the use of camera movement that mimics a person's gaze, forcing viewers to engage in a form of voyeurism. In addition, he framed shots to maximize anxiety, fear, or empathy, and used innovative forms of film editing. His work often features fugitives on the run alongside icy, blonde, female characters. Many of Hitchcock's films have twist endings and thrilling plots featuring depictions of murder and other violence. Many of the mysteries, however, are used as decoys or MacGuffins that serve the film's themes and the psychological examinations of their characters. Hitchcock's films also borrow many themes from psychoanalysis and sometimes feature strong sexual overtones. He became a highly visible public figure through interviews, movie trailers, cameo appearances in his own films, and the 10 years in which he hosted the television program Alfred Hitchcock Presents. In 1978, film critic John Russell Taylor described Hitchcock as the most universally recognizable person in the world, and a straightforward middle-class Englishman who just happened to be an artistic genius. Hitchcock directed more than 50 feature films in a career spanning 6 decades and is often regarded as the greatest British filmmaker. He came first in a 2007 poll of film critics in Britain's Daily Telegraph, which said, "Unquestionably the greatest filmmaker to emerge from these islands, Hitchcock did more than any director to shape modern cinema, which would be utterly different without him." His flair was for narrative, cruelly withholding crucial information and engaging the emotions of the audience like no one else. Prior to 1980, there had long been talk of Hitchcock being knighted for his contribution to film, with film critic Roger Ebert writing, "Other British directors like Sir Carol Reed and Sir Charlie Chaplin were knighted years ago, while Hitchcock, universally considered by film students to be one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, was passed over." Before he received his knighthood from Queen Elizabeth II in the 1980 New Year honours. In 2002, the magazine Movie Maker named Hitchcock the most influential filmmaker of all time. Early life. Alfred Hitchcock was born on 13 August 1899 in Leytonstone, the second son, and the youngest of 3 children of William Hitchcock, a greengrocer and poulterer, and Emma Jane Hitchcock, named after his father's brother. Hitchcock was brought up as a Roman Catholic and was sent to Salesian College and the Jesuit classic school St. Ignatius's College in Stamford Hill, London. His parents were both of half English and half Irish ancestry. He often described a lonely and sheltered childhood worsened by his obesity. Around age 5, Hitchcock said that he was sent by his father to the local police station with a note asking the officer to lock him away for 5 minutes as punishment for behaving badly. This incident implanted a lifetime fear of policemen in Hitchcock, and such harsh treatment and wrongful accusations were frequent themes in his films. When Hitchcock was 15, his father died. In the same year, he left St. Ignatius to study at the London County Council School of Engineering and Navigation in Poplar, London. After leaving, he became a draftsman and advertising designer with a cable company called Henleys. During the First World War, Hitchcock was rejected for military service because of his obesity. Nevertheless, the young man signed up to a cadet regiment of the Royal Engineers in 1917. His military stint was limited. He received theoretical briefings, weekend drills, and exercises. Hitchcock would march around London's Hyde Park and was required to wear parties, the proper wrapping of which he could never master. While working at Henley's, Hitchcock began to dabble creatively. The company's in-house publication, the Henley Telegraph, was founded in 1919, and he often submitted short articles and eventually became one of its most prolific contributors. His first piece was Gas, published in the first issue, in which a young woman imagines that she is being assaulted one night in Paris, only for the twist to reveal that it was all just a hallucination in the dentist's chair induced by the anesthetic. Hitchcock's second piece was The Woman's Part, which involves the conflicted emotions that a husband feels as he watches his actress wife perform on stage. Sordid surrounds an attempt to buy a sword from an antiques dealer, with another twist ending. The short story, And There Was No Rainbow, was Hitchcock's first brush with possibly censurable material. A young man goes out looking for a brothel, only to stumble into the house of his best friend's girl. What's Who was humorous, and was also a forerunner to the famous Abbott and Costello, Who's On First routine. The History of Pea-Eating was a satirical disquisition on the various attempts that people have made over the centuries to eat peas successfully. His final piece, Fedora, was his shortest and most enigmatic contribution. It also gave a strikingly accurate description of his future wife Alma Reville, whom he had not yet met. Interwar British career. Silent films. Hitchcock became intrigued by photography and started working in film production, working as a title card designer for the London branch of what became Paramount Pictures. In 1920, he received a full-time position designing the titles for silent movies at Islington Studios with its American owner, famous players Lasky and their British successor Gainsborough Pictures. His rise from title designer to film director took 5 years. During this period, he became an unusual combination of screenwriter, art director, and assistant director on a series of 5 films for producer Michael Balcon and director Graham Cutts. Woman to Woman, The White Shadow, The Passionate Adventure, The Blackguard, and The Prude's Fall. Hitchcock's penultimate collaboration with Cutts, The Blackguard, was produced at the Babelsberg Studios in Potsdam, where Hitchcock observed part of the making of F. W. Murnau's film The Last Laugh. He was very impressed with Murnau's work and later used many techniques for the set design in his own productions. In a book-length interview with François Truffaut, Hitchcock also said that he was influenced by Fritz Lang's film Destiny. He was likewise influenced by other foreign filmmakers whose work he absorbed as one of the earliest members of the seminal London Film Society, formed in 1925. Hitchcock's first few films faced a string of bad luck. His first directing project came in 1922 with the aptly titled Number 13, filmed in London. The production was cancelled because of financial problems. The few scenes that had been finished at that point have been lost. Michael Balcon gave Hitchcock another opportunity for a directing credit with The Pleasure Garden, a co-production of Gainsborough and the German firm Imelke, which he made at the Geisel-Gasti studio near Munich in the summer of 1925. The film was a commercial flop. Next, Hitchcock directed a drama called The Mountain Eagle. This film is lost. Hitchcock's luck changed with his first thriller, The Lodger, a story of the London fog, a suspense film about the hunt for a Jack the Ripper type of serial killer in London. Released in January 1927, it was a major commercial and critical success in the United Kingdom. As with many of his earlier works, this film was influenced by expressionist techniques Hitchcock had witnessed firsthand in Germany. Some commentators regard this piece as the first truly Hitchcockian film, incorporating such themes as the wrong man. Following the success of The Lodger, Hitchcock hired a publicist to help strengthen his growing reputation. On the 2nd of December 1926, Hitchcock married his assistant director, Alma Reville, at the Brompton Oratory in South Kensington, London. Their only child, daughter Patricia, was born on the 7th of July 1928. Alma was to become Hitchcock's closest collaborator, but her contributions to his films Hitchcock would discuss only in private, as she was keen to avoid public attention. Early sound films. Hitchcock began work on his 10th film, Blackmail, when its production company British International Pictures decided to convert its Elstree facility to sound, and to utilize that new technology in Blackmail. It was an early, talkie, often cited by film historians as a landmark film, and is often considered to be the first British sound feature film. Blackmail began the Hitchcock tradition of using famous landmarks as a backdrop for suspense sequences, with the climax of the film taking place on the dome of the British Museum. It also features one of his longest cameo appearances, which shows him being bothered by a small boy as he reads a book on the London Underground. In the PBS series The Men Who Made the Movies, Hitchcock explained how he used early sound recording as a special element of the film, stressing the word knife in a conversation with the woman suspected of murder. During this period, Hitchcock directed segments for a BIP musical film review Elstree Calling, and directed a short film featuring 2 Film Weekly Scholarship winners, entitled An Elastic Affair. Another BIP musical review, Harmony Heaven, reportedly had minor input from Hitchcock, but his name does not appear in the credits. In 1933, Hitchcock was once again working for Michael Balcon at Gaumont British. His first film for the company, The Man Who Knew Too Much, was a success, and his second, The 39 Steps, is often considered one of the best films from his early period, with the British Film Institute ranking it the 4th best British film of the 20th century. The film was acclaimed in Britain, and it made Hitchcock a star in the United States, and established the quintessential English Hitchcock blonde, Madeleine Carroll, as the template for his succession of ice-cold and elegant leading ladies. This film was also one of the first to introduce the MacGuffin. In The 39 Steps, the MacGuffin is a stolen set of design plans. Hitchcock told French director François Truffaut, "There are 2 men sitting in a train going to Scotland, and one man says to the other, 'Excuse me, sir, but what is that strange parcel you have on the luggage rack above you?' 'Oh,' says the other, 'that's a MacGuffin.' 'Well,' says the first man, 'what's a MacGuffin?' The other answers, 'It's an apparatus for trapping lions in the Scottish Highlands.' 'But,' says the first man, 'there are no lions in the Scottish Highlands.' 'Well,' says the other, 'then that's no MacGuffin.'" Hitchcock's next major success was The Lady Vanishes, a fast-paced film about the search for kindly old Englishwoman Miss Froy, who disappears while on board a train in the fictional country of Bandrika. The Guardian called the film one of the greatest train movies from the genre's golden era, and a contender for the title of best comedy thriller ever made. In 1939, Hitchcock received the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Director, the only time he received an award for his direction. Hitchcock was lauded in Britain, where he was dubbed Alfred the Great by Picture-Goer magazine, and his reputation was beginning to soar overseas by the end of the 1930s, with the New York Times feature writer stating, "3 unique and valuable institutions the British have that we in America have not.